Hello and welcome to the Satluj TV podcast. Today we welcome back a regular guest to our show, Dr. Bakhshish Singh Sandhu, MD. Dr. Sandhu is a highly experienced and board-certified internal medicine doctor, but as well as being an accomplished medical practitioner, he's also a highly respected and active campaigner for both Sikh rights and the nation of Khalistan. As such, he's the current president of the Council of Khalistan, which is dedicated to its stated aim of liberating Punjab from Indian occupation. He's also the president of Khalistan Food for All, a charity established to fund UN food programmes. He's also the co-founder of Sikhs for Justice, having been with the organisation since 2007. And even amongst this enormous list of achievements, he still had time to author the book Punjab, A Tale of State Terrorism, Persecution, Iconicide and Genocide, available on Amazon and other outlets. Dr. Sandhu, welcome. Thank you for joining us once again today.
Thank you, Mr. Scott, for having me on your program.
A pleasure as always. Now, Dr. Sandhu, Gurpatwant Singh Pannun has recently hit the headlines with his civil case against India over both transnational repression and the alleged plot by the Indian government to assassinate him. He's been designated, as we know, as a so-called terrorist by India, simply for his activities promoting the cause of Khalistan. He has been, of course, behind the very successful referendum currently being rolled out around the world. Now, what he certainly has achieved, more than anything, is raising awareness of both Khalistan, but also something deeper, Sikh nationalism. And it's in the context of Pannun's legal case that I would like to examine Sikh nationalism today and what it truly means. So, Dr. Sandhu, a very simple question. What is Sikh nationalism?
Okay, Angus, Sikh nationalism is a process in which the Sikhs can get political independence. Because political independence of Punjab is important for people of Punjab to realize their human rights, their social and gender equality rights, their safety, their security. So why is Sikh nationalism so important? Unless and until the people of Punjab become independent of India, there's no possible way that the people of Punjab can have their rights. In order to liberate Punjab from Indian occupation, the Sikh nationalism is being adopted, and I'm urging all the people, the Sikh people, to become Sikh nationalists. And also Khalistan nationalism. Khalistan nationalism is like a nationalism to create Khalistan. For example, the people in Punjab, they don't have political rights because Punjab politics is controlled by India. We don't have economic rights because economy is under the control of Indian system. There's no religious freedom. There is basically no equal protection under the law. And there's no education. How people can progress without the education? There's no possible way. If the education standard is going down, that's another problem. We don't have any civil rights. Anytime you can see in India, anybody who's driving a truck or a car, they're caught, and they're basically 150 people also come and start beating Sikhs because they were driving or something a little bit happened. And then Sikh nationalism is also about increasing the population of Sikhs. The Sikhs need more numbers to be politically relevant. And the Sikh nationalism is also important to end the caste system. I believe the caste system of India is a crime against humanity when in broad daylight the people's rights are being taken away from them. So Sikh nationalism, to sum up, is for the political independence of Punjab, equal rights for the people of Punjab, law and order, education, economics, prosperity, and getting them civil, political, and social and cultural rights.
So I referred in the introduction to Pannun being designated as a terrorist. And of course, this is a very typical tactic of India to label any nationalists or secessionists as terrorists. And of course, in amongst this misnomer and this false accusation of being terrorists, they also try to identify what Sikh nationalism is, and they create this misinformation about what Sikh nationalism is and what it represents. So it does beg the question. The next question is: you talked briefly about what Sikh nationalism is. Let's turn that question on its head. What Sikh nationalism is not what? Can you elaborate on what it is not?
So in order for people not to misunderstand what Sikh nationalism is not Sikhistan. It is Khalistan. It is the country of people of Punjab. It is not racial superiority of Sikhs. It's not ethnic superiority. It's not religious superiority. It is about bringing about the political and economic changes in Punjab, and the only way they can happen is if Punjab is liberated from Indian occupation. In the next maybe few minutes, we'll discuss about the case about Gurpatwant Singh Pannun and India's label of terrorists on Sikhs who are fighting for their freedom. We'll discuss that too.
Okay, one of the often quoted criticisms of the whole Khalistan movement, and I see this regularly across social media, particularly from the right wing and the Hinduism outlets, is, well, you know, you're all out in the diaspora. You live in the US, the Canada. We see Khalistan flags out there, but people in the Punjab are happy. The Sikhs in the Punjab are happy. They don't want Khalistan. They are not nationalists. They are quite happy being part of India. Now, of course, we hear a different story from many people inside the Khalistan movement. Perhaps, Dr. Sandhu, you could let us know what your understanding of what the current environment is in Punjab. How do you think Sikhs within the Punjab feel about this whole subject?
See, India tries to downplay or hide the truth. The truth behind the Sikh nationalism is that is Khalistan independence is there is existential threat to Sikhs. There is existential threat to Sikhs, Sikhism and Punjabi language, and even the state of Punjab in the Union of States of India. Why is that? Because under the Indian Constitution, the Hindu personal law applies to Sikhs, like marriage, transfer of property, adoption. All these processes are carried out under Hindu personal or Hindu religious law. Sikhs will never be labeled as anything other than Sikhs themselves. So there is a threat to Punjabi language. There is a forced migration. Under the current circumstances, the Sikh youth of Punjab being forced to leave the country of Punjab. They're being basically given free distribution of drugs, and most of them are dying from drug overdoses. Similarly, current situation is that farmers are committing suicide and their loans are very small, maybe 2 lakh or 3 lakh, they be maybe $40,000-$50,000, which is a minuscule amount of money even in Punjab. And there are basically attacks on Punjab's natural resources and the change in demographics. Like the people from outside Punjab are being brought into Punjab, they're buying properties, they're starting their businesses, and they're very arrogant. They are also attacking Sikhs and Sikh women. So the current situation is dismal. That means the attacks on Sikhs, attacks on Sikh women, attacks on Punjab properties, attacks on natural resources, and continuing genocide and genocide of Sikhs. That is the current environment. And out of this current environment, how can people of Punjab come out? The only way they can come out is if they get political independence of Punjab, means secession of Punjab from India.
I find it very curious, actually, that there is a very historical basis for all this, but particularly when we look at even just the recent decades, we had Bhindranwale, of course, in the 1980s. But these days, we have Amritpal Singh, who has stood for the Lok Sabha on a ticket of pro-Khalistan and anti-drugs. He has been fighting this very obvious agenda to oppress the Sikh community. Just before we go on to the actual history of it, just sticking with Amritpal Singh, what are your feelings? Because, of course, Amritpal Singh was elected with a massive majority in his constituency, in his Punjabi constituency, and he stood on a very clear pro-Khalistan ticket. So would you say that does very clearly send a message to Delhi that the people of the Punjab do want Khalistan? And in turn, why do you think Delhi have imprisoned Amritpal Singh? Do you think it is purely simply because of that?
See, that's very good example. So Amritpal Singh is imprisoned out of state. Why he's taken out of state? The reason is that if he's in Punjab, people in Punjab will be feeling compelled to go and carry out demonstrations. So Amritpal Singh has not done any criminal activity. He should not be detained. And if he is elected member of parliament and they say he did not come to take an oath, if the guy is in prison under Indian system, he's chained down, how is he going to take the oath? And then the people who have lost elections, they are given, like, let's say, ministry. So there are Sikhs in Punjab who lost the elections, but they made a minister. However, the Amritpal, who has won elections by even if he won by one vote, he won the seat. So he has all the rights of the member of parliament, and he is being not released. What? And let's compare this to 38% of ministers in Modi's government who have criminal records as well. But Amritpal Singh was saying that I want to save the Sikh people who are dying by drug overdoses. And he wanted to basically attract them towards Sikhism. But the Indian government wants to assimilate Sikhism, Sikhi, Punjabi language, and even the state of Punjab. That's why even the people who have not committed any crime, who are basically doing service to the community by teaching them about Sikhism and by telling them to not use drugs. See, why India wants the Sikh youth to keep on dying from the drugs? See, there's an open genocide and there's a hidden genocide. The hidden genocide is make people weak, make them economically weak, keep them away from their religion, keep them away from their language, attack the language. That's the reason the Amritpal Singh is still detained and he is not released. He is not danger to anything. He is not. He has not attacked anybody. He was just basically promoting Sikhism and fighting for the rights of people of Punjab.
Yes, and if we do look, look back over history, and even back to the very first Guru and the divergence of Sikhi away from Hinduism and the prevailing religions at that time, it was very clear that Sikhs were a very different philosophy. Sikhi was a completely different philosophy to Hinduism, and of course one of the fundamental divergences was the rejection of the caste system, the evils of the caste system. So it is very clear that Sikhs are not and never have been Hindus and never will be. Of course, that runs contrary to the wishes of the Hindu Rashtra in Hindutva. But I'm curious then, Dr. Sandhu, could we look at the historical basis of how this has evolved from a divergence as a religion into actual nationalism? What is the history of Sikh nationalism itself?
See, as you have mentioned, the Sikh religion was born out of the need of the time to protect people's rights, give them gender equality, social equality, economic prosperity, and take them from under the repressive social structure. At that time, there was Hinduism and Islam, and people are suffering under the burden of the control of the people who were presenting themselves as a people's savior. but there was no justice, there was a lot of crime. So Guru Nanak created an egalitarian religion where everybody can come together. So all people are created equal and they have equal rights. That's a concept Guru Nanak started. So what is happening now is the equal rights, social and gender equality, human rights, and ending the caste system, that's a humanitarian cause. But why is India opposing Sikhs, let's say, endeavor to be free? Like if Sikhs have done so much to liberate India, and the same Indians are now on the killing spree of the Sikhs who are asking for their rights. So basically, the Sikh maintains equal rights and all people are created equal. This is not so. The Hindutva principle is totally opposed to that. And this is the reason that the Hindutva character is such that in India, only people who follow Hindu religion will be allowed to live. Or other people, if they want to live in India, they will be subservient to Hinduism. Mrs. Scott, nobody wants their religion to be attacked. We don't attack Hindu religion. We only attack Hindutva ideology, which is basically trying to annihilate Sikhism, Sikh perspective, Punjabi language, and basically they are attacking our religious institutions and Gurdwaras, Sikh house of worship. This is not going to end. I'm telling the people of Punjab, no matter what your religion, you are a Punjabi first. But if you're not a Punjabi nationalist, if you're not a Khalistani nationalist, then your future is doomed. Doesn't matter what your religion is. If majority India is Hindu religion and some, let's say, non-Sikh Punjabis think they want to associate with the Hindutva principles, many of them are not. I'm not trying to basically involve everybody in it, but some of the Punjabi people who are promoting Hindi and Arya Samaji, who's driving a wedge between Sikhs and Hindus, they should not listen to Arya Samajis. Let's all be Punjabis. Let's create Punjabistan. Let's create other name that's Khalistan. And the Sikh nationalism is political independence of Punjab so that people of Punjab can get their rights. Who's controlling Punjab's water? Who's controlling Punjab's land? Who's controlling Punjab's electricity? Who is basically taking all the incentives of Punjab away? Why is there so much unemployment in Punjab, more than 26%? And why is there no industry created in Punjab? This is all to make the Punjabis, and especially the Sikhs, politically weak. They want us to be economically weak so they can rule on us. They say, okay, we'll give you food, but you cannot ask for your religious rights. That's the fight is about. And that's Sikh nationalism, Khalistan nationalism is a solution to all these problems.
Yes, and we've often talked, certainly on our daily show, about this very clear agenda by Hindutva, which is based on the united we stand, divided we fall. And their agenda is very clear, is to divide the Sikh community. We've talked very often about how they have parachuted in their own people into key positions in the Sikh organisations, essentially to divide the community and turn in on against each other rather than against Hindutva, which essentially is offering this existential threat. And I find it interesting, and I do often say, and indeed have concluded, that the biggest threat to Hindutva's existence is, of course, the Sikh community, because the Sikh community recognises Hindutva, RSS and the Brahmins exactly for what they are. And therefore, in turn, they are threatening and oppressing the Sikh community. And as you have said yourself, they are deliberately trying to drive out the Sikh community literally from existence. So in a very brief summary, what do you think Sikhs must do to thwart this existential threat from Hindutva forces?
So here's what the Sikhs need to do. The Sikhs, to get their rights, all these things we have talked about, the Sikhs must be focused. The Sikhs should become Sikh nationalists and get the independence of Punjab. Then they basically, how can they protect the Sikhism? or their Sikh identity. The Sikh identity is being threatened in Punjab, India. They're even threatening outside Punjab and India. So we must protect and promote Sikh identity. We should reject Hindu rituals. It's nothing against Hindus. Hinduism, they have own rituals. They are basically, we are not objecting to what kind of rituals they want to hold, who they want to worship. That's their prerogative. But we are saying the Sikhs should not basically fall prey into Hindu rituals and Hindu practices. We are saying that we should develop our own culture. We should have our own festivals. We should basically speak up and speak out against injustice. We must lift the Sikh community. I am requesting all the Sikhs to take care of your neighbors, take care of your relatives, lift your community, educate your people, share with others, care for others, be politically active. If we want to have our rights, we have to be politically active. And the other thing, we have to increase the population of Sikhs. We have to make more kids, because look at that. The Sikhs are like, maybe let's say at the most 30 million people versus India's population 1.45 billion. There are billions of people. And always we come on the short end because we don't have enough numbers. We need to create numbers. We need to educate our kids to a higher level of education so they can have better jobs. We should be politically active. We should follow our own, our own festivals. We should not be driven into other festivals of other people. They can have their own festivals. We have no objection to that. And we must promote and protect Sikh identity. Sikh identity is the key for the survival of Sikhism.
Okay, a week ago, Dr. Sandhu, there was the seismic news that Gurpatwant Singh Pannun launched a civil case against the government of India. And this, of course, has sent shockwaves around certainly probably Indian circles. From your perspective, can you give us an idea of, firstly, who is Gurpatwant Singh Pannun, and a little bit of background about this case that he has launched?
Okay, Mr. Scott, thank you for bringing this. Is a very important topic. This topic of Gurpatwant Singh Pannun being the plaintiff, the one who sues other people, versus India, and some India's agents are defendants. So what is the case about? You had mentioned, I want to clarify on that. So Gurpatwant Singh Pannun is leading the campaign for liberation of Punjab from Indian occupation. In order to liberate Punjab, to re-establish the sovereignty of the country of Punjab, we are doing a referendum. It's called Khalistan referendum. So Khalistan referendum is voting yes or no on the question of, should the Indian occupied Punjab be an independent country? We are asking people to say yes, because we want to liberate Punjab from Indian occupation. And during this process, the Indian government is criminalizing our peaceful, legal and democratic campaign. So India does not allow Sikhs to speak. They are suppressing us politically, economically, religiously, every way you can think. The Sikh people being repressed, extrajudicial killings, Sikh genocide and Sikh genocide. So now we are outside India and Punjab, and then we want our rights by legal means, and they are basically criminalizing our peaceful campaign so they can justify killing of Sikhs. Out of that, India has started now carrying out transnational repression and transnational assassination of Sikhs. Modi, Indian Prime Minister, himself has said from the stage, this is Modi's new India. We go to people's home and kill them. Modi had previously threatened that we will go to the houses of terrorists to kill them. So Indian government, to justify the violence against Sikhs, declared falsely, without any evidence, that Sikh Justice is a terrorist organization. That was in July 2019. Then in July 2020, 1 year later, they said the individual Sikh leaders are terrorists. So they are making this false basis to justify their violence and crime and assassination of Sikhs. Out of that was born a case of Gurpatwant Singh Pannun. So what happened? India hired Nikhil Gupta. So Nikhil Gupta was hired by Vikram Yadav, who is an employee of the RAW, Research and Analysis Wing. So Vikram Yadav is directly reporting to then the head of RAW, there was Samant Goyal, and the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. Ajit Doval and Samant Goyal report directly to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So this is the chain. Modi at the top, then there is a Samant Goyal, Ajit Doval, then there is a Vikram Yadav, then Gupta. But Gupta is just the soldier. Gupta is a foot soldier on whose shoulder India has put a gun to kill Sikhs. So Gupta is basically doing the legwork. So Gupta was given the authority to hire a hitman, but fortunately the hitman he hired to kill Gurpatwant Singh Pannun and others, that hitman was DEA agent. So Mr. Scott, you know what happens? India has been doing this for a long time. So there's a chain. Let's say that at the top there's the government, then the government officials, then they hire somebody, then they hire the third, fourth, and fifth person who carries out the action they are assigned to him. What happens then? In that chain, number 5, for example, let's say, or number 2 or number 3 are killed by the same organization. And then nobody knows where it started and who were the agent. But this time, the chain of command is totally clear. Modi, Samant Goyal, Ajit Doval, Vikram Yadav, Gupta, and then the hitman he hired. All the chain is very clear. So this is a very clear-cut case. So then they say, oh, this case doesn't have jurisdiction. This case has total jurisdiction. And there are 3 jurisdictions. Number 1, the jurisdiction is jurisdiction on the case against Doval, Yadav, and Gupta and Goyal is that that's called 28 U.S.C. 1332. That's the relevance of this case. That's the jurisdiction. Then the jurisdiction for the case against India is Act 28 U.S.C. subclass 1605. Then there's a venue. Can the case be done in New York? Yes, that has relevance because the case can be tried in New York under the jurisdiction of 28 U.S.C. subsection 1391 parenthesis B parenthesis 2. So this is a totally relevant, very important, very strong, ironclad case against the government of India agents, and the people who hire hitmen. So why is India doing this? India is killing Sikhs, so they never ask for their rights. But India should understand that the Sikhs cannot be intimidated. My friend Jagdeep Singh, Baba Jagga, he had said there's no gun that India has which can silence Sikhs. So I cannot say any more than that. There's no strong statement than this that India cannot silence Sikhs no matter how many Sikhs it kills. So we are saying to the India, come on, let's sit on the table, let's negotiate boundaries of country of Punjab. The Punjab is being controlled India by just chance. We fought the wars. We have sacrificed more than 150,000 lives of Sikhs. And India is responsible for Sikh genocide and ongoing genocide and genocide. India will have to be brought to the justice in courts like this. By dragging India into the courts, by dragging Gupta and Prime Minister Modi, when he's no longer Prime Minister, he will be included into this case because now his name has not been included because he's the head of the state. He has immunity. So Sikhs are peace-loving people. We are having peaceful referendum, but India is criminalizing our peaceful Khalistan referendum, but we are winning this war.
Yes, it does seem a very clear-cut black and white case. But my final question, Dr. Sandhu, then is, if it is likely that Mr. Pannun wins this case, what do you think will be the outcome? Now, clearly, I suspect that Ajit Doval, Samant Goel, etc., will not appear or refuse to appear in a court in New York. Having said that, even if they win the case, it is a civil case, so the outcome is likely financial compensation. All well and good. Now, firstly, is it likely that India will pay anything? But secondly, in practical terms, in real terms, what do you think is the outcome of this case? Why do you think this case is so important?
Good question. So let's leave the financial compensation aside. But the gist, the heart of the case is not financial compensation. It's a civil case. But whether Modi or any of the agents who have been sued, whether Ajit Doval or Samant come to America or not, it doesn't matter. If they come and fight the case, they lose and we win. If they don't come, we still win. We are winning this case. The repercussion of this case is, in the whole world, we have projected that who's the killer? Who's carrying the terrorism against Sikhs? And we have no case against us. We have not killed anybody. Nor we tell people, go and hurt somebody, go and kill some people of other religions. We never ever will say, go and kill somebody just because he belongs to the other religion, just because he is opposing our Khalistan referendum. People have the right to vote no. People have the right to say, do the canvassing against the referendum. We have no problem with that. But killing people who are doing the referendum is totally crime. And this crime must be punished. And the whole world now knows how India acts. It is India's action are being exposed. People in the outside India, they are not knowledgeable. But India is not a peaceful country. You have seen how the minorities, Muslims, Christians, Buddhism had disappeared from India. The population Buddhas is less than Sikhs. Sikh population 1.7, Christian population is 2.2, Muslims population about 14%. There's a majority Hindu religion. In this majority Hindu religion, who carry out the Hindutva agenda, minorities have very little chance of getting their rights at all, or maybe very little chance they will ever get rights, especially in Punjab. When they are attacking our language, they are attacking our gurus, they are attacking Sikhism, Punjab's natural resources, what's the chance? What the Sikhs should do, what the people of Punjab should do, they have no option. The only option they have is liberate Punjab from Indian occupation. This is not criminal activity. This is our right, under the right to self-determination. Sikhs have a right to liberate their country. And how did India control Punjab? Just because the UK gave it to them. They have no right. They have no legitimate right to Punjab. India has no legitimate case to have Punjab under their control. This control of Indian government in Punjab must end. And when Punjabis are free, then Punjab will be one of the greatest country. There will be equal rights. Will be helping the whole world with their food, with their equal rights and equality of the people.
Very powerful statement to end on, Dr. Sandhu, but unfortunately there we must leave it. But we will be talking again with Dr. Sandhu soon to continue this discussion. Dr. Sandhu, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you, Angus. I appreciate you having me on your program. Thank you.
An absolute pleasure. And thank you for watching the Satluj TV podcast. We will see you next time.